right? So this is the agenda for today's session. It is introduction to incident and incident management, right? In the incident management, what it means is that how you're going to manage the incident, and then there in that particular thing, a very most important thing is incidents life cycle we have in place. That's I'm going to explain you thoroughly. Then we have identification information security incident, then the application of cyber kill chain framework. Okay, so what is actually a cyber kill chain, all this kind of thing we will be discussing as well. And right, multiple things we have, other things as well. Okay, so we will be discussing all those things. So today's session is particularly the day 4 is, in a nutshell, if I say, it's all about incident, right? Okay, that is the thing. So what is an incident, what importance does it hold, and what are the different teams we have in place, all those things we will be discussing in the today's session for sure. Fine. Okay, let's get started, and if any query, any doubt, let me know. Okay. Okay, so the first topic we have in place is introduction to incident and incident management. The first question arises is, what is an incident? Before jumping into something which is what is an incident, I would like I would ask the question, what is an event we have in place, right? So what is an event? Event means like kind of a work you are performing. Okay, let's say for example, early in the morning, you opened your particular laptop in place and that you're opening it, right? You just click on the power button, it's booting up, right? Within a few minutes, based upon the operating system you're using, on multiple of the factors, it's going to take a time. So let's say within few seconds, it opens up, right? So that is considered an event. In short, it's a task that you are performing. Okay, when that particular task goes wrong, it goes right, which you have not expected. Let's say for example, when you are booting up your system, or when you are performing something, and suddenly your particular operating system fails, collapse, that is called an incident. When there is deviation from a normal behavior, that is an incident. Okay, fine. That is what happens in an incident. So a cyber attack is an incident, right? So any kind of an attack, any kind of a problem arises inside an organization, that is called an incident. And there are mechanism inside the organization how to handle these kind of an incident in place, how to resolve them, how to contain them, how to protect, how to make sure that they do not escalate further. All these things we have in place. So that's the thing we have in place. Okay, fine. Okay, so now we have incident, right? Any kind of a cyber attack, fire, short circuit, that all consider as an incident. Now let's come back. We have inside an organization, to manage the incidents, we have this thing which is called incident response life cycle. If there is an incident, remember, incident would not be considered a cyber attack. It could be anything, a fire or anything, any kind of an incident, right? That is there. So we have a response life cycle for that in place, and this is in front of you. You are seeing is the incident response life cycle in place. Fine. Fine. The first is preparation, then second step is identification, then containment, eradication, recovery, and then the post incident activity. So one by one we will be going to each and every level, and I will be trying to make this particular topic easy for you, because this is a very important thing. The first steps comes the preparation part. Let's say for example, there is an organization, right? And my job in that particular organization is that to make sure I protect that organization from a ransomware attack. Specifically, I would say from a ransomware attack. Fine, that's the thing. Now the thing here is this: in this particular scenario, when it comes to the incident response life cycle, the first step is the preparation. The first step is what it is: preparation. You're preparing yourself. Like, okay, so how can I prepare my organization for a ransomware attack? So guys, can you suggest me what kind of things that I can do to mind my organization, or create a policy, or create an architecture that I protect my organization from a ransomware attack? Okay, security programming in line with business, absolutely. So many multiple things we can set it up inside an organization. Fine, to protect my organization from a ransomware. So that all those things that you're saying right now, encryption, right, setting up a firewall, setting up an IDNs and IPS, all these things, right, training as well, would be considered under the preparation part, where I will be training my all of my employees or all of my juniors, whether irrespective of their department where they are working. Let's say, for example, there is a particular person, and that particular person is in sales department. He has nothing to what, he has no job in learning about incident and all this kind of thing in place. Fine, yeah, correct. Okay, so that's the thing. So, but still, I'm going to prepare him. That's what the strategy is. Let's say, for example, when I visit an organization, I make sure that all the people in the organization, irrespective of the department and irrespective of the role they are performing, if a particular person, even if the person is your security guard or in your bodyguard, definitely for sure, you should train him for an incident. You should make him aware about what are the consequences that we as an organization can face if one single employee does a silly mistake, right? That's why even the smallest person, even an intern or even a kind of your, that gatekeeper, he should also be trained. A very general approach. I'm not saying that do provide him 6 months of advanced training into something. Do not do that, but a simplified, common, general training should be there for these kind of stuff in place. So do not click on a link. What's a ransomware? It's a what's a virus, and all these kind of things, and make it simple for them, right? So that all comes under the what, preparation part. I'm preparing my organization from a kind of a problem in place that can arrive in the future. Fine, okay, that's great. So the first job is done, right? I have performed, I have trained my employees, I have set up the firewalls and all those kind of things in place. Now this is done. Fine. Okay. But now the second step arrive is called the identification. Okay. So what is the identification? In identification, you will analyze that this is the ransomware which is sitting inside a firewall. Fine. Okay. So why we need an identification? Because all the measures that you have taken, like in the preparation, what are the measures we take? We, like, we teach our employees. Okay, we train them. Okay, we set up firewalls, we set up IDS IPS, right? IDS. Okay, all these things, all these security controls are there. They all failed. Fine, they all failed to protect the organization from a ransomware attack. Okay, that is still a possibility, because remember, in the field of cybersecurity, nothing, no system, no architecture is foolproof. There is always going to be loopholes, right? Remember that thing. So no matter how many millions of dollars you spend on an architecture, there are always going to be loopholes. And the hackers, particularly the black hat hackers, are always looking for those loopholes, those vulnerabilities. So vulnerabilities are always there. So let's say, for example, even if I have done all of my homework, I have trained all my employees, I have done everything in the book, right? I have set up a good antivirus, I have make sure that no particular person of the organization do not click on a suspicious link, all this kind of thing, right? But still somehow the attackers able to insert a ransomware in my organization. There can be multiple methods. Okay, so now all the controls has failed which I have set up in the preparation part. Perfect. Okay, right? So now the ransomware has entered. Okay, so I need something which is called, another thing which is called the monitoring tools, and those comes under the identification. So in the second step, it arrives when the breach has taken place. All those things that you have set up, all those checkpoints, right? That the training, setting up of antivirus, anti-malware solution, endpoint security, everything you have set it up, all failed to prevent your organization from attack of a ransomware. They all failed. Now there is a breach, and how do and okay, so there is a virus or ransomware has entered my organization. So I need tools for an alert, right? I need to know that there is someone, some unauthorized person or some unauthorized software in place which has entered my organization, right? For that, I need something which is called by the name of monitoring tool. And monitoring tools comes under identification. Identification, we identify which is the malicious file, which is the corrupted, which is the bad actor. Okay, we identify him out. Fine, that's one of the thing. Okay, because as I told you, there are multiple organizations across the globe. Okay, and what those organization has gone through is that hackers were sitting on their network for a longer duration of time, for a moment of 6 7 or even an year. I think that you guys remember a term that I already explained in the previous session, something which is called by the name of APT. Correct, right? Advanced persistent threat. As the name by itself tells, it uses advanced tools. It is persistence. It means it's going to stay for a longer duration of time. And it is a threat because at the end of the day, it is going to compromise your confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Fine. That's what we have in place. Okay. Perfect. Absolutely. Very good. Kudos to everyone. Fine, correct. So there is an APT sitting in my organization. I do not want that case, boss. The moment a breach happened and attackers entered my organization at exact same time within a delay of nanoseconds or milliseconds, I should get an alert that all the defenses has failed, and now the attackers is inside the network. I should know, or the complete SOC team should know within few seconds or within few milliseconds, right? And the moment we get that alert that there is someone who has bypassed all this firewall IDs, IPS, and now he's inside it, we should, with our complete arsenal in organization, should completely march toward it and get rid of it as soon as possible before it causes damage to the resources of the organization. Okay, so in identification, okay, so remember what's the role of the identification? To identify that something is going wrong. If, let's say for example, if there is no identification in my organization, so what are the consequences that I can face? The moment my firewall, IDS, IPS, endpoint security, antivirus all failed and the virus has just entered my organization, the attacker would be sitting in my system. Okay, and I will not be even aware about it because he's sitting there, right? He bypassed all the security measures in place and now he's just sitting there. Fine, that's a problem we have in place. So for that someone has entered my compromised my system and now he's sitting in my or uh, system, I should be aware about it. Fine, that's the thing. So that all comes under the identification file. Okay, correct. Now after identification, so we have identified that there is a file with the name of x1z. Okay, this is a file we have in place, and this file contains some kind of a ransomware in place. Now my job is that I have identified, now I am going to contain it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I am going to make sure that I contain this file, because what is going to happen is that if I do not fully control it or contain it, it is going to escalate further. Okay, and then that leads to all other systems getting compromised. If I just give you an example of it, let me just draw it out. Let's say for example, this is one system we have in place. Okay, in your organization you will be having plenty of it. Yeah, this is the third PC. Just an hypothetical scenario, in your respective organization you have three PCs in place. Fine. Okay, in your organization you can have plenty thousands of it. To make it much more simple, I'm just putting three species. Perfect. So let's say for example, now this system get infected with a ransomware. Okay, so now all the data present inside it is gone, it's encrypted. Fine. Now the thing is that I do, okay, so damage is done. Okay, now my one system is being compromised and all the data, files and files, photos, all the messages, all the things of the organization as well as the of personal information is being is encrypted, right? It is compromised, so damage is done, right? So now when containment I want is that I do not want this virus to spread to other PCs. One PC is already gone. The infection is, I would say, one PC. I do not want it to escalate further. I do not want it to go from 1 to 2 or 3 or even 100. Okay, I do not want it. Correct. With isolating the systems, right? Correct. So we have multiple ways for it. Yeah. Okay, so we contain it. Okay, multiple people have multiple name for it. Some say isolation, some says quarantine, whatever you want, but you're containing it. The particular word we have in place in this incident life cycle response is containing it. Okay, that it makes contain with it. Okay, correct. Fine. And multiple things how we can contain this particular virus. I will be completely detaching. So let's say, for example, this is a PC which has been infected by a virus. Okay, and now what I'm going to be doing, I will be completely detaching it from the rest of the PCs, from the network, from internal or external network. Okay, so virus is kind of trapped inside it. It cannot go by itself without any kind of an interaction with this PC. It cannot jump out of this system in place. Okay, it needs some medium, some mode to transmute from his this system to another system in place. Okay, so I will do it in isolation. Okay, that's called the containment. Fine. Okay, then comes something which is called the eradication. Okay, so we have contained it out. Now as I told you, that this is the PC that I have in place, and this PC is infected. Okay, and I have kept this particular PC in isolation. But remember this thing, if this is a server in particularly, I would say what I have seen is that basic system particularly, right, it at least take 10 lakh Indian rupees. Okay, a basic server in place. And if that is the case, your system, your 10 lakh rupees, okay, of your particular, you know, uh, server is compromised, it's a big thing, boss. And you're not going to keep this particular system with infected files for a longer duration of time. It will be completely a liability for you. Okay, so what now you are going to do the eradication. This system which hold the virus, you are going to make sure to get rid of this particular virus as soon as possible, and you can use multiple tools for that. Okay, after using multiple tools, you can install a antivirus, right? And you will be running an antivirus full scan. Hardly it will take, depending on the data as well, I would say, but it will take at least 2 or 3 or 4 hours, right? It will do a deep scan, find out all the viruses, and then what's going to happen is that it is going to get rid of it. Okay, if you have done the, any kind of an antivirus scan, right, at the end you will see that if the antivirus finds out something, it gives you multiple options, right, at the end of it, the summary, that what to do with these files which are flagged as a red flag, right, which are looking like a malicious one. You want to quarantine them, you want to delete them, you want to keep them, whatever you want to do it. Okay, that's kind of things. So that's what we have in place. So in eradication, we get rid of it. We have multiple tools for that. Antivirus, anti-malware solution is just one of them category. Okay, that is called the eradication. Or what you can also do is that you can do complete system format. You completely wipe out every piece of a data in your hard disk. You just take out the hard disk, and using certain software, you just completely, with a deep clean, you completely wipe out every piece of a data from that particular hard disk. Okay, that is also possible. But in that particular scenario, what is the problem is that your own files will also get deleted, right? So that's would be also the thing. If you should be better have a backup of that. Okay, so that's called the eradication, getting rid of it. Fine, perfect. Now comes the recovery part. Okay, so now what you have did is that you have kind of, you know completely wiped out, formatted this particular hard disk in place. Now it's empty. Now what you're going to do is that you're going to again up, kind of download and put files and folders inside it, right, so that this systems can be used again. That comes under the recovery. The machine which was infected, you have removed its element, its viruses, and now you are making sure that it is in a healthy state, is now being utilized, and now it's part of the organization. Okay, that's the thing. So like in the containment, you detach a particular machine. In a recovery, you attach it back to the system, and but make sure that it is now in a healthy state, it has not been infected with it. Okay, that's the thing. And now it comes the post incident activity. In the post incident activity, we kind of, what we do, we kind of find out and study what lead to this particular attack, what was the reason behind it. Okay. Yeah, correct. So, Ranga, as you're saying that returning to the normal state post an attack, so that comes under the recovery part. In the post incident activity, boss, what we do is that we kind of analyze a scenario, okay, that what leads to this particular attack, what was the reason behind it, what lesson I can learn from this particular attack. Okay, so what you did, and you do a kind of an analysis, you do did auditing. Okay, all comes under the post incident activity. You're finding out the reason that, see, I have spent millions of dollars. I have set up a good firewall, layer of firewall. I have trained my employees, all sales, marketing, all are aware about it. Everything I have done in the book, best practices I have used, but still my organization, two three systems were compromised by ransomware. Why? What's the reason behind it, boss? So you do analysis, you bring out the forensic team, they find out what's the source of it, what's the reason, and then you came to know that there is a one single guy, and he was downloading a movie which he thinks that, he wants to watch from a torrent website, and that leads to that particular installation of a ransomware from that. Okay, that is most of the time a case. It's most of the time an employee looking for some kind of a movies or going to these websites, it is a dangerous, right? Particularly going to a torrent website or downloading any kind of a stuff from there. Okay, so it could be a very dangerous situation for the complete whole organization, and it can cost them millions of dollars, okay, in business, and then they have to bounce back as well. Okay, so that could be a possibility. So you came up with an idea that, okay, that there was an employee, what he did is that he did a mistake, he did not follow the guidelines, he clicked on a suspicious link, he downloaded a movie, and that particular movie led to this particular problem in place. So then what you're going to do, you are going to make sure that you learn from it and put it in the preparation part. Then you make a policy in your organization that no one would ever go to the torrent website or any kind of website and do not download anything. You kind of create network architecture as well. It prevents the organization, or I would say you will kind of configure your firewall. The moment that your particular employees, that your traffic from inside of your organizations goes to the torrent website, it is blocked by the firewall. Firewall is two-way, right? It kind of analyzes the incoming traffic as well as the outgoing traffic, the traffic that is going from your system to the outer world, that is also managed by the firewalls. You can set up rules for that as well. So you set up the rules for the firewalls. Okay, you make up a policy, you again train your employees that don't click on a link. That's the thing that comes under the post incident activity. As you can see that in this particular picture in place, it's a life cycle, right? It go back against to the preparation, because the lesson that you have learned here, you're setting up in the preparation, and again it's been repeated. Okay, that's the thing. It means that in the post incident activity, you learn from the mistakes, right? Lesson learned, what's the reason behind it, all those kind of things, and that in the preparation state, again you manage that thing, right? You implement those things, and again then there is an identification. If there is a breach, then there's containment, eradication, recovery, and again lesson learned, and again coming back to the preparation part. So this particular cycle goes and on and on and on and on. Okay, right? And remember, the post incident activity is a very crucial thing. You learned really a lot of things, that what you have done, what kind of mistakes you have done in implementing, or what kind of problems you have, what kind of issues are present in your network still. Okay, that's the thing. And if you learned, find out the root cause of it, resolve it, automatically the possibility that your system is facing a cyber attack, the possibility drastically gets low, very low. Fine, that is the thing we have in place. Okay, so this is what's an incident response life cycle. We are responding to an incident. We are just not sitting there and looking at the PC that, okay, you know what, my system is compromised. We are not doing that, right? We are absolutely responding to that incident in place as well. Fine. Okay, fine. Okay, that's what we have in place. What is called That is called incident response lifecycle. Now let's talk about cyber incident response. So inside an organization, guys, we have multiple teams. Okay, like as I told you, in the SOC team we have in place yesterday, in the SOC team, this incidents also comes under the SOC team, right? So below the SOC team, we have the forensic, then we have the risk, right? Then we have this incident, fine, and then we have disaster management. Okay, multiple teams we have under the SOC team in place. Fine. So this incident type you also do. So what this cyber incident response team is, what this particular team is, we right? Let's talk about them. These are the this is the team, the cyber incident response team. This response team is the team inside an organization who is going to handle the incident. If there's a virus attack, they are going to contain it, right? Okay, get rid of it. That comes under the incident response team. So what does that mean? This is the first responder. Okay, first responder. When an attack happens, they are the first who was going to interact, who is going to get rid of that particular virus in place. Fine. Okay, so the first thing we have in place, which is called by the name of CIRT. CIRT, it stands for Cyber Incident Response Team. Okay, CIRT, Cyber Incident Response Team. Fine. Okay. So what this is, it refers to a team within an organization and it's responsible for managing and responding to cyber attack. Okay. So it's what it does. It's what it manages and respond to the cyber attack. And the focus of the CERT is typically on incidents that affect the organization internal system, and I would say the network as well. So CSIRT, right? Yeah, sorry, CIRT. CIRT. And what this particular CIRT does is that it focuses upon your organization internal systems and a network. So it means that it is confined to only inside your organization. Okay, fine, that's called the CIRT. If you want to protect your organization from any kind of attack, all this kind of thing, incident response you want to build, you have to go for CIRT. It will only protect your organization internal systems and your network. That's it. Remember the catchphrases: internal systems and network, that is this particular CIRT protects. Okay, now we have another kind of a team in place, this one, which is called the CERT, right? And before the CRT, we have also something which is called by the name of CSIRT. Okay, before let me explain this CSIRT first. So CSIRT is what it stands for: Computer Security Incident Response Team, and it's similar to CIRT, but it is typically associated with large and more complex organizations that require high level of incident response capabilities. Okay, so it is used in those of big organization, large organization, it is used, this CSIRT. And CIRT, it is used in small organization, CIRT in small and CSIRT in large. Okay, and another thing is that the scope of the CSIRT is not only to protect your organization but to protect your clients, to protect your supplier, right, to protect them as well. But CIRT only is small, it's only focused upon you, that's it. Fine. Okay, then we have another one in place which is called CERT. This one, CERT. And this CERT, it stands for Computer Emergency Response Team. And this is typically associated with the government agency, or you can say even the academic institution or industry groups that they provide incident response service to a broader community. Okay, so the CERT may have, I would say, a national or an international scope, right? And they often involve in sharing information and best practices related to incident response and security. Okay, so this CERT is particularly by the government. Fine, that's called the CERT. Every government, I would say, across the world, whether it's India, whether it's New Zealand, or whether it's Australia, all of them have their own cert. You go to there to the website, to the Google and type India cert, and you will be provided a page where it will be telling you about all these kind of a cert, right, which is established by the Indian government, and it kind of on a daily basis or on a weekly basis kind of publishes different kind of advisories. They're like, do not use or update your Google Chrome, right? Because the older version is having some kind of a vulnerability which leads for the attackers to hack into your system in place. So that kind of alerts, that kind of warning are being provided by the CERT India, CERT India, right? Every government would be having their own CERT team in place. It stands for Computer Emergency Response Team in place, and they are particularly used by the governments we have in place. Okay, so these are the cyber incident response team we have in place. The first is CIRT, then CERT used by the government, and then CSIRT. It is exactly by like CIRT, but remember the thing is that it's big. And in this particular scenario, if let's say for example, InfosecTrain is using this CSIRT, so what is going to happen is that in this particular CSIRT, right? InfosecTrain would not be only protecting that incident team would not be only protecting the applications, the softwares, the systems of the organization, but at the same time they will be also protecting the systems, applications, and all this kind of stuff in place of our client as well, and are suppliers. Fine, that's kind of thing we have in place. So it's not the scope of its protection is not limited to a single organization. It is broader than that. It goes beyond the organization and what it multiple companies organization can come under it. CSIRT. Fine, that's what we have in place. Okay. Now let's talk about something in place. So now let's talk about something which is called incident response plan, right? If there is an incident, so how you're going to respond to that? That's what we have in place. Incident response plan in place. Okay. So inside, identifying information security incident is a crucial aspect in today's world. And security incident can be encompass a wide range of event from relatively minor issue to major breaches in place. Fine. So okay, okay, wait a minute, right? So in incident response plan, you have these plans in place, right? First of all, as I told you, you do the preparation, you analyze, and like in the preparation part also, what we will do is that in the response plan mean when attack happens, how are you going to resolve it out, right? It's a component of the life cycle. Fine. Okay, it's very important. That's why I've kept a separate segment for this as well. Okay, so it's part of this life cycle only. So in the response plan, what you do is that you do the preparation. It's the first step we have in place because it's very crucial, boss. It's very, very crucial. If you fail at this level, definitely all of your particular architecture would be completely shattered, right? And the hacker is going to eat you up. So what we do the preparation, and the preparation part is not just setting up out the firewalls. It's not just about setting up, just drilling your teams, right? Or outlining things that what things could be allowed inside an organization and what should could not be, right? Recovery, setting up a backup, drill, right? You're kind of performing a drills, right? Like we have the fire drill. Okay, that if in the emergency case there is a fire inside your organization, there is a short circuit or any kind of an issue, or if there is an earthquake in place, how are you going to respond to it? Right, we have a drill for that. Okay, so the more you drill you have, right, you teach children that, boss, there is something called by the name of tectonic plates. Okay, and how they work and what is a ring of fire. Fine. And if we are in country like right, I'm in India, so we have something which is called the ring of like in the geography we have something which is called the ring of fire. And India, many of the states are sitting in the ring of fire. It is the area where there which are much prone to earthquakes. Fine. So that's I'm teaching them. Then what we do, we perform the drills on a monthly basis or every annually, every 2 times we can perform that as well. So that's a drill. And then another thing is that communication is also very important. Well, now you will be saying that, Amit, you know what, system get hacked, you have a teams in place, why you need a communication for that? Let me explain that. Let's say, for example, in your respective organization, you are part of an incident team, the systems get hacked, right? There is a system you have in place in your organization. I will definitely, for sure, if you're working in a large organization, fine, definitely for sure you will be having at least 200 or more than that computers in place. And let's say, for example, one system gets compromised out of, remember, 200 computers. 200 is the minimum saying. I have seen more than that, thousands of systems you will have in place and servers in place. So how will you identify that? You get to know that, okay, that there is a virus in this particular system in place, it looks suspicious, it is utilizing a lot of resources even if you are not performing any kind of a specific task into it. So you do an analysis and you get to know that there is some kind of a virus that is infecting the system in place. So how do you communicate it with the rest of your team? Let's say, for example, you fail to communicate, you are aware about it, right? Your teammate, as you are an incident guy, you are aware about it, but let's say, for example, any of your particular colleague starts sending to this particular PC some important file, he's not aware about it because you failed to communicate. Even if you are an employee of the organization with good intent in place, but still you failed to protect your organization, and your particular friend or your employee or your junior or an intern accidentally uploads a file or a folder of very sensitive information about your organization, about your customer, to this particular platform which is infected. Even if you're aware about it, you failed to set up the policies, you failed up to set up, to communicate with your particular manager, you failed up to communicate with your team that, okay, this is a problem, how should we make sure that it does not escalate further, we should de-escalate it, how should I quarantine it, should I cut it from the internet, is it possible? Because I have seen what, because most of the time when a system get the attackers are so smart, when your particular system get compromised, the moment you disconnect from the internet, they have something which is called by the name of logic bomb as well attached to the malware. Fine. So now what is going to happen is that, let's say, for example, my system is being compromised by the hackers. Normally people used to do what, that they think that, okay, if I take out the, or I disconnect or set up my laptop into airplane mode, or disconnect from the internet, right? So what is going to happen is that then I will be able to trace down what the particular virus was and what who sent it. I can analyze it. But the hackers are very smart guys. So what I've seen in one of the organization, that the hacker, what he did is that he was sitting over the organization, and when the organization people came to know about it, right, they did the same practice. They tried to contain it, quarantine it. But the moment the virus get this idea, the virus get the idea that the system is now offline, it is disconnected from the internet, it cuts within few seconds, right? It completely deleted all the files from the systems automatically. It was pre-programmed. The moment the virus whichever computer it is, the moment the system sees that it is now offline, it cannot connect to its own server, the hacker, the command and control, it automatically within 5 to 10 seconds would delete all the files which are present in that system in place, and automatically get disrupt as well. Now your hard disk is fail, your data is lost, you have nothing to do, you cannot analyze anything, you can never find out what that particular malware was, what was his behavior, where it came from, nothing. So I remember, hackers are so smart as well, okay? So remember, that's what the thing, because this is all about defensive part. We have to catch those hackers, we have to defend our systems as well. Fine. So that's the thing. So that's why in incident response team we have the preparation, and remember this, in the preparation part we study others hack as well, right? Like, let's say, for example, if there is some data breach happens, right? There is any kind of an attack happen, there is a breach happens. Recently Sony was hacked as well. Fine. And multiple these password managers has just kind of arrived within 2 3 years, and they are kind of promising, they are doing big promises that we will storing your data and all, your password users, right? It will be very easy for you to manage your password and blah blah blah. But they fail to do it. Every day there is a leak, there is a breach, there is breach of data from WhatsApp and this, right? So we learn that as well, that what leads to that date breach of WhatsApp, what was the reason behind it, so that I will make sure that I do not do that same mistake. That is the case study we learn about. And then we have something which is called, we learn about the behavior of the attackers. Sometimes what happens is that attackers across the platform, they behaves exactly the same. Let's say for example another one, there is a group of hackers, okay, with the name of Guardian of Peace, which is sponsored by the North Korean government. They, the pattern they use, right, to attack the target is exactly most of the time the same tool, the same methodology, the same tactics, right? This is also you have to learn as well, right? Threat intelligence we have in place, which called threat intelligence feed, right? That intelligence about the threat, that about the behavior of the attackers, about the, you know, behavior of the hackers in place, you have to learn as well. That also comes under the preparation, and it's a very intensive job. Then you have to do malware analysis as well. Multiple different kinds of malwares are there, multiple different kinds of ransomware are there, you have to study their behavior. Then let's say for example there is a new ransomware in the market, your job is to study out its behavior, find out loophole in that ransomware, and let's say for example somehow your organization gets compromised due to that ransomware, there should be a key that you will able to decrypt it. Okay, that, let's say for example there was a very famous ransomware, I would say WannaCry ransomware, right? So when it was, I think it was 2017, that when the WannaCry ransomware was, you know, it was launched, and it was completely a disruption across the world. Correct, it was very famous across this globe, many systems were compromised. Okay, WannaCry's ransomware was kind of attacking a there was some sort of a vulnerability in the Windows system in place. Fine. And the WannaCry ransomware exploited that vulnerabilities in the Windows system in place. Okay. So that's the thing. So what if, let's say for example, so there was a vulnerability in the particular Windows system in place, and what they did is that due to that particular vulnerability, the systems was compromised. And again, as I told you, the nature of the ransomware is that it encrypts, right? Irregard of who you are, the system is going to be encrypted, right? And then you have to pay for it. Okay, perfect. So now if you go to the internet, and today's world, today is 2023, and you go to the internet and find out the decryption key for the WannaCry ransomware, you can easily get that. If let's say for example today anyone's gets system gets compromised with the same exact WannaCry ransomware, you can go over the internet, take a decryption key, install it, right, using some tools, and your system would be decrypted. Simple as that. That is why, because someone did a very hard work in analyzing, decrypting, studying its behavior, and finding out the key for it. Okay, that all comes under the preparation part. If there is a virus, you ransomware like newly launched today only, and you captured it, you start learning about it, its behavior and all this kind of thing, and somehow you're able to create a key for it, decryption key. Tomorrow, that virus, any of your employee systems gets compromised, because you have already have a key for that, right? Because you have done a lot very hard work in the preparation part, you can easily decrypt it. You does not need to pay a single penny for that, right? And it will be, again, think about how amazing it would be that this organization was compromised by ransomware, and within no time they by themselves decrypted it. It would be a very, you know, very very good advertisement for your organization, right? That how good it, how successful this organization is. So these are the things we have in place. Fine. Preparation, right? Teamwork, organizing the team, you know, like organizing seminars, making aware about them, right? Nowadays, let's say for example, why I'm saying teamwork preparation is also so important, because nowadays I see that, because I mostly have an expertise in the cloud platform. Okay, particularly in the AWS, the platform that I mostly love is AWS, provided by the Amazon. So many today's world, hospitals, banks, everyone is just going to the cloud platform because they think it's cheap. It's cheap, right? The reality, it is cheap, right? Uh, as comparison to on-premises one, but the cloud has its own negative. It has its own issues as well. So whenever you're switching from an on-premises to the cloud part, there are the things that your organization should be aware about. I've seen that people switch from, or most of the architecture, 40-50% of the architecture, they have shift from cloud, sorry, on premises to the cloud part. but they're even not aware about what are the risks for that. Okay, so that's also you should be aware about it. You should be yourself aware about, as well as you should aware your team as well, that what can go wrong. Okay, let's say for example, nowadays I see many people using Google Drive, right? It's definitely at the end of the day, it's a cloud means someone else's PC. You're storing a file in a folder in someone else's PC, right? Now, like Google have like 15 GB you can store there, fine, free of cost in per account. But you do not think from a security point of view that there is no encryption. It means that there's a possibility that your data can be leaked from the Google Drive. The Google by itself has been report cases, not exactly, but there has been some cases where Google has been, there is allegations that Google reads the data which is stored by its client in the Google Drive, right? That's just some serious stuff in place. So that's our allegations are there for the Google as well. So because there is no encryption mechanism, I anyone can read it, even the Google employee can by itself read it as well, right? So that's the thing we have in place, right? So you should be aware about the problems, about the issues, so that you can resolve it out, then outline what things are allowed and what things are not. Key management system. In this particular KMS, what you do, you have a file in place, and you can, with your own key or whether the key provided by the AWS, you can encrypt the particular data. And it is like no one's, even the AWS would not be able to see what this particular file was all about. It will be, it's stored in an encrypted format. It's a very fantastic thing. Okay, but definitely for sure you have to pay a price for that. That's the thing we have in place. Like the Google Drive, it's free, 15 GB, right? So that's the thing. But in the AWS part, you have to pay a little bit of price for that. But remember, the security is best. That's what I would say. Okay. Then you have the recovery part. If everything goes wrong, you have at the end of the recovery, you have a backup in place. Fine. We have multiple things for that. We have radius and plenty of things. You can have a backup. You can use the cloud for the backup and plenty of things you can go for that. Then you have the drill for the practice, and then you have the communication. Effective communication should be there as well. Fine. That's the thing. In one of the organizations that I've seen, that a case study that I have read, that this is a system, it was compromised, right? From this, and now that particular person get to know that this system is being compromised. Let's say for example this is system A, right? And he wants to tell his team that this system is compromised, and this is his team, right? His let's say for example this is this is his manager. So from this particular system, he's sending an email to his manager that, boss, this system is compromised. That's absolutely a stupidity, boss. Do not you think that the particular person who is having an actual access of this particular system in place, he will get to know that, okay, now someone has find out that I'm sitting there, and now he's sending a message to his boss. That is still a possibility. And the moment he get that you are sending a message from this particular PC in place, he will automatically wipe out all of the data from this particular system, and it will be considered useless. Fine. So that's why when you get that, use some other communication mode for that. Okay, that's the thing. These are very small things but very crucial. Now let's talk about identifying information security incidents. So we have incidents in place, right? The security incident in place. Now we have to identify them. That we have something which is called the monitoring part, right? As I told you, this is very crucial. We have to identify. Okay, then if we identify something, then only we can able to mitigate it out. Fine. So we should have a plan for it. How to get this thing under control. If there is an incident happened, you should have an incident plan for it, right? That if a hack happens, if there is a ransomware attack happens to this particular PC in place, who I'm going to contact? I'm going to contact Amit. He's the manager of it, and he, with this absolutely experience and his team, within few minutes he's going to get rid of this particular virus in place, or even contain it out, right? So that it does not escalate further. Okay. Then we should have a monitoring and logging tools as well. As I told you, monitoring and logging tools. Have you guys remember that story I told you about SolarWind? That SolarWind was is currently an organization as well. It's still working. So SolarWind, what the problem was that in SolarWind, federal government and the Microsoft for the big client of it, and the hacker was sitting over the system for a longer duration of time, boss. Okay, and to resolve that kind of an issue in place, this hacker was sitting there because their monitoring and logging system absolutely failed. Okay, that was the thing in place. So you should have a monitoring and logging. for it as well. Fine. Then you have something, you have machine learning, ML, machine learning and artificial intelligence, AI, to analyze the behavior of the files and the folders present inside your system in place. Okay, then you should have network and endpoint protection as well. You should have phishing and social engineering awareness. Fine. Vulnerability scanning, penetration testing, threat intelligence, right? Okay, behavior analysis, all comes under identifying information security incidents. All these, you using all these things, you will able to identify any kind of an incident that is taken place or has already taken place in your respective organization in place. Something called sandbox or sandboxing, right? If, let's say for example, if you want to study a particular virus in place, right, or contain anything, right? Yeah, correct, with isolated environment, sandboxing. So let's say for example, there are multiple tools we have in place, like the cuckoo is there sandbox for the boxing, or you can use the different kind of VM for that as well. Okay, so let's say for example, you have this particular isolated environment. Fine. Now what really happens is that inside it you have this Windows 10 inside it, right? It's an isolated environment, Windows 10 you have in place. And now you completely open up a file which you think would be suspicious. You open it at here, and let's say for example, this is a malicious file. Okay, and now the file is, the moment you open it up, it starts spreading it up. But remember, it is in a sandbox, it is in an isolated environment. So even if everything is getting infected, it will not be able to breach out, it will not be affecting any of your files or a folder. That's the benefit we have of this particular things in place. Fine. Sandboxing, so then I can analyze it, I can study it, and still at the time I'm providing it connection through the internet. Okay, that is a thing still provided. The behavior, I'm not restricting the behavior of the virus, I'm studying it out. Okay, that's what we have in place. Fine. So sandboxing is a very good thing, very good thing. From malware analysis, whenever I perform that, I do it inside the sandboxing. Okay, mostly I do it inside a VM as well. VM also provided a very good isolation environment. Like I have VMware workstation. VM workstation. What I do is that I have this particular Windows 10, and in that I install VMware workstation. Inside it, I install like Windows 10, right? And then I open a malicious file inside it. And if something goes wrong, it is still present inside this particular system in place, right? All I can do is that I can install this VM or get rid of this Windows 10, install it, and we are good to go. Fine. Do not affect my normal system in place. Fine. That's what we have in place. Okay. Okay. Let's move ahead in place. This is something which is very important. Flare VM. Wait. Okay. I have not used this one. Wait. Flare VM. I am particularly use VMware workstation. I mostly do my work in that particular part, and VirtualBox. Fine. Okay. There can be plenty of them. Not use everyone, but yep. After session, I would look into this particular part. Okay. Thanks for that. Perfect. But my particular case, that what I prefer is VMware workstation. You have to pay for that, right? VMware workstation. You have to pay for it. I would say for this activation key. But it's it's the GUI. I really look like it, right? The GUI is pretty good. Okay. And if you want you want to use a VM, right? There is a free one, I would say, which is called by the name of Oracle VM box. Sorry, VirtualBox. Okay, that's what we have in place. Yeah, VirtualBox. Yeah, wait. Yeah, it's up to you. Absolutely, both of them are correct, right? Okay, no issue with that. But I consider VMware workstation to be very good, right? The GUI really looks clean and nice as compared to the VirtualBox provided by the Oracle. So it's up to your preference. But both of them work fine. Absolutely, no issue with that. Okay, perfect. So let's come back to the something topic which is called cyber kill chain framework. Okay, So cyber kill chain, what is actually a cyber kill chain? So guys, remember this methodology that we have right now, the cyber kill chain, it was not created for the cyber security. It was created for the military in place. Okay, and you can say the cyber kill chain is inspired from the military, right? That how do it is kind of inspired from the militaries, because military have what they have done is that they have made up a kind of a program that if you want to attack a target, these are the 5 to 6 steps you need to follow. First of all, collect the information about it as much as you can. Let's say, for example, if a military operation is to be done, right? And so first thing, what should you should collect as much information about it. Then, you know find out what are the source of it. Yeah, Lockheed Martin has created it, absolutely. Okay, and all these things we have in place. So it has inspired from that. It's called cyber kill chain framework. And why we need to learn from it, because this particular seminar is all about the defensive guys. So why I'm telling you about the cyber kill chain, because as a defensive people, it really helps us in understanding the mindset of an attacker. Most of the time the attacker is going to use this exact path, right? Exact, most of the time, not every time, but most of the time. So this is kind of, we are learning the mindset of the attacker in place. That's why it's called cyber kill chain framework. Okay, so let's understand it. It's a 7-step process in place. Okay, let's understand them one by one, bit by bit. First is the reconnaissance, right? Then there is weaponization, then there is delivery, then there is installation, right? Then there is command and control, action and objective. Okay, so these are the 7 steps we have in place. So I'm going to explain you one by one. Okay, okay, perfect. Right, first step is reconnaissance. Let's say, for example, let me take the case of Ved. I want to hack into the Ved system in place, right? He's my target. Okay, I want to hack into the system in place. Okay, so what is the reconnaissance step I will be going through, right? First of all, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to perform something which is called by the name of reconnaissance. In reconnaissance, or which is also called by the name of footprinting, I will find out every bit of information about the way, where he lives, what his family background, how much of education qualification he has done, is he is having any sort of account at Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, right? And then I'm going to follow him as much as that. Let's say, for example, there's something which is called by the name of OSINT, right? Open source intelligence we have in place. So I'm going to collect his photos, his family friends, his friend. Like, say, for example, hypothetically, if he has lived in any sort of a hostel, so where that particular hostel is, I will be gathering as much information about him, right? As possible information about the target. Yeah, absolutely, right? That's what we do in that particular reconnaissance. We gather as much information. That's why, okay, a kind of an alert here, right? A kind of a suggestion from my side. All those individuals, boys or girls, right? Remember that thing. If you have an Instagram account or a Facebook account or any kind of an account you have in place, make it private. It's not a secure and not a good idea to make your particular account public. Fine, because you have absolutely no idea who is using your particular image, in which case scenario, and doing OSINT to figure out where the photo was taken, at which particular period and time. A lot of information can be gathered from a image, location, right? Date, time as well. Okay, and then they can be used against you. Okay, so always be aware about what you are posting over the internet, over your social media, right? And be very cautious about it. You should not at any kind of, let's say, for example, I just one day, I think 2 3 months back, in LinkedIn, one of my student posted a video. It was very interesting, and it's kind of giving you a gist of that particular video in place. The video was like, nowadays everyone is over the social media, right? And there was a girl. She was also very, this keep on posting you in this Telegram, in the Facebook, Twitter about day-to-day activity she was doing. So what she was to do, early in the morning, she was just waking up, and she was like clicking a selfie and saying, good morning, again posting it up. Okay, so the hacker is collecting, okay, where she is, right? What her mood is. And then in the second step, before leaving for the office, she was clicking another selfie with her mother, and in the background you can see her address, the nameplate, right? you, and then the hacker was able to get the information about her mother, her parents, and his address. Then in the third picture, at the evening time, she was having a lunch with her colleagues, fine, and she was another clicking a selfie. So she was, then the hacker was able to gather as much information about her colleagues, the office, right, the background, right, using the background as well, a lot of information about the location of the girl is, right. And the fourth and the fifth selfie she clicked was that where she is going at the night with her friends, right. That's also, so that way you're exposing a lot of information about yourself, so you should be absolutely aware about it. Okay, fine, that's the thing. So that's because you remember, see, I'm a hacker in place, I just do it from, for the good, right, not for exploiting someone or just, hacking into a system, unauthorized hacking into a system in place. First time what I do in whenever I go for any organization to perform any pen testing or anything like that, first thing I will be doing is OSINT. I will be digging deep into the particular system's person, his history, who is the CEO, CTO. The CEO is there from how many years he is the CEO, where he, what his career record is, right. I will be digging deep into it. Remember that thing, and then I will be creating my attack based upon that analysis that I have done. Fine. I will be study that particular person base. If a particular person has a Twitter account, right, one of my friend, and he on a basis, regular basis, he's very fond of the animations, right? Okay, and if you have his Twitter account, you see that he keep on posting about the anime, right? Like uh, Demon Slayer and Naruto and plenty of them, right? He keep on posting and keep on following those kind of a post in place. So what I can do is that I can impersonate that, sir, I'm calling from this company, and we have this particular pass for you, that there is a kind of a Naruto show going to happen or a movie is going to be launched. So Kirk, you have to click into this particular link and you will be getting a 3 free passes, and everything is free. You can just come there. I know he's very enthusiastic about it. From his feed I can see that the moment he click into a link, a virus gets installed in his system, and now the system, I have a control over it. So remember about it, right? Your reconnaissance, your things that you put over the internet, you are in some way exposing yourself, so be very cautious about it. Okay, that's the thing. Perfect. Then what I'm going to do, I am going to do weaponization, right? So what I'm going to, based upon this kind of information that I have gathered, I'm going to create a weapon. Weapon means malware. Okay, that comes under the weaponization part. The malware based upon its activity, right? So I get that Wade is very fond of playing game, particularly video games. He, let's say for example, hypothetically, he's very fond of playing games, and there is a new version of GTA 5 that he wants to play, or I would say GTA 6, right? It's again going to come into the market. He's very enthusiastic about it, right? And he keep on posting and he keep on liking those posts where there are rumors that GTA 6 is going to come, and these are the features that are there. So I get that idea from his social media account, right? And then I'm going to what I'm going to create up a malware. I'm going to create up an email post which I'm going to make, send him to the, I'm going to make, right? I'm going to make that particular malware, virus, anything. Okay. Then as comes the delivery part. The malware that I have created, right? I will be attaching it with the game. Okay. And then I will be sending it to the Ved. That boss, this is the game. And the moment he will be installing the game, there is something which is called slide loading, right? It means that when you install the game, suddenly something else also installed in your system and play. That's called side loading. Okay, so that game, that particular malware also gets installed in the Wave system, right? Then I do what, I do the exploitation part. Now I find out the vulnerability and exploit, and I insert a malware into a system. And comes the installation part. In installation, I will install additional other 5 malware into a system in place. In this particular first case, I'm installing only one malware. In another, this fifth step installation, I will install other 5 malware as well, because the system is now in my case. Why am I installing another 5 malware in Wait system? Because if he kicks me out, right, one malware, still 5 is left. Okay, Correct. Installation of a backdoor. So I can have a better grip from his system, right? If his anti-malware firewalls block the access of one malware, I still have four. Fine. That's what we have in place. So I can have a much better control over his system. That's why I'm installing others malware as well in the system, right? And then something which is called command and control. Then I'm going to control his system from using a server, which command and control, right? The command and control just means that there could be a server. I will be saying that, okay, let's say for example, this is a server in place, right? Server, which says command and control, which, and this is the hacker, right? This is me. I send to the message to the server that all the clients that are attached to you delete their complete hard disk. One of the client is Ved. Now Ved system would be deleted. That's what the command and control. It's just a server. Fine. Okay. And then comes the seventh step, action on objective. So it means that whatever action or whatever my objective is, I'm fulfilling that. I want to completely steal all the data of the Ved. I want to encrypt his information. Okay. Or I want to kind of, steal his personal files and photos, and then try to and use them to try to blackmail him. Okay. I can like, and many times I've seen that people nowadays has kind of, because there are a lot of OTPs, password they need, right? For many applications, they need that. So now what they do is that they, whenever they're creating the username and password, they take a snapshot of it. I've seen that behavior by myself, right, in my family member as well. That whenever they're creating something, you writing something, they take a snapshot, right? Okay. I go to see a system, I compromise your particular system in place. It is very difficult to hack into a bank system. But because you have already taken a snapshot and I can access your gallery, in your gallery there is a snapshot and snapshot folder. In that snapshot folder, you have taken the snapshot of your bank credentials. I can use it and impersonate as you and log in into the bank account. And that's it. I'm good to go, boss. I am good to go, right? Then using your credentials, I will be impersonating as Ved, and I will be completely wiping out his account. And to be very frank with you, it's next to impossible then to catch me. Fine. That's why the online fraud that happens, the hackers are so smart, or the scammers are so smart, they impersonate, they hide their IP address, their MAC address. That's become for the police as well to catch them. That's make, it's very difficult, next to impossible, to catch those guys in place. Fine. That's what we have in place. So this is something which is called by the name of cyber kill chain framework. MFA is a must in today's world. Okay, not about the bank account, I would say. Absolutely great. Right, correct, the bank account are using it, but remember, I would say even use MFA for your Google account as well, right? Okay, it's guys must for the MFA is there in Facebook. Okay, MFA is there in the Instagram as well, and multiple other services, social media, like in the Twitter as well, right? In your Google account as well. Enable it. There would be a code. Let's say, for example, there's a free software. You does not need to pay a single penny for that. There is a thing which is called by the name of Google Authenticator. There is a Microsoft Authenticator as well. There is Authy, plenty of them. I personally use a lot Google Authenticator. So Google Authenticator is that all you need to do is that hardly it will take 5 minutes to link your particular application, that Google Authenticator, free of cost, to connect with your respective Google account, right? And that's it. Next time you want to log in inside it, you enter your username, you enter your password, and then it will be asking for the 6-digit code every 30 second, I think so. It changes, right? The code. So, and that particular code is present in your particular phone, right? So definitely, for sure, you can imagine that the level of security has increased a lot. If someone now truly want to hack into my system in place, it is so secure that now, right now, I can publicly disclose with full confidence my username and a password, and still you guys would not be able to access my official InfosecTrain, that email ID provided by my respective organization. You will not be able to hack into it, because it will be asking you about the MFA, multi-factor authentication code, that 6-digit code which changes every 30 seconds. None of you would be able to provide it, because I have that installed in my account, on in my phone. Okay. and I will be looking into it and then entering it, and Google will be rechecking it, and then I'm good to go. Fine. That's why MFA is so important. Okay. Yep, very very important. It really helps you and protects you from a lot of things. Somehow your account get compromised, your password get compromised, hackers has access to the password. MFA will protect you. Multi-factor authentication. There are hardware-based multi-factor authentication as well. Something which is called by the name of Ubico keys. Right? There's Ubico is an organization like we have multiple, like Samsung is an organization, Apple. These are the multiple organizations we have in place. Ubico is also an organization we have in place. So what can happen is that it's a pen drive like device. Okay, not exactly, kind of looks like you attach it to the your particular system in place, where the mobile phone or the particular laptop in place. It comes in various size with different features. You attach to it, it contains a code, and then you're good to go. The accounts get verified. That's it. So anytime anyone wants to log in the Facebook account, Instagram account, Google account, you enter the username, you enter the password, and then insert the key into that particular laptop or anywhere, and that's it. And even if some, let's say for example, hacker captures that 6-digit code somehow, let's say for example there is some multiple attacks are there, man in the middle attack, right, where the hackers captures the credentials. Okay, so the hackers have captures my username, hacker has captured my password, hacker has captured my that 6-digit code. But the beauty is that every 30 second that MFA code will change. So even if he has the cap code right now, he will after 30 second it would be gone. 30 second, right? Every 30 second it changes. So it trust, to be very frank, do not go for the so expensive one, the Ubico one, right, till the time you have the money to spend into it. Otherwise it's good. Till the time, go for Google Authenticator. If you even use the Google Authenticator, trust me, you are pretty secure. Your account are pretty secure, right, from getting hacked, till the time you do not click on a malicious link. That's a completely different scenario. But till the time you're, if you want to truly protect your account in place, use two things: make your password strong and use multi-factor authentication. Install Google Authenticator after this. But remember, the disadvantage of this scenario is that if something, let's say for example my phone is lost, I'm not able to access it, it is broken, something happens, right? Now I'm not in a condition that I can access my phone, so I cannot access my account. If my phone is gone, so does the app, and so does the authenticator code, which keeps on changing. So if my phone is lost, forget about the account. There is no way I would be able to bypass it. There's no way. Okay, till the time you go contact to the Google, and there is a very less possibility that they will be somehow able to, help you out with it. That's the thing we have in place. Okay. Okay, Ragina, I have already answered that, right? The hackers has hacked the systems and have access to the Google Authenticator app. That's not the possible. Okay, I would say that. Not Google Authenticator app. It's pretty secure. Fine, it's not easy for the attackers to hack into that thing. Google Authenticator. Okay, okay, that's straight, right? That's called something which is called by the name of cyber kill chain. Most of the trainers, right, we use Google Authenticator. Okay, so that's vary from person to person, organization to organization. If you're a respective organization, you have a policy in place that you only need to use the Microsoft one, so yeah, use the Microsoft one. That's the thing. But if it's all up to you, I think from my particular perspective, both are pretty good. Both provide very good advanced level of security as well, right? And it's very difficult to hack into it because they are provided by two vendors, Microsoft and the Googles. They are a very big organizations by themselves. Okay, and definitely for sure, remember, because the Google Authenticator and the Microsoft Authenticator, at the end of the day, they are the software, right? And software has the vulnerabilities and have they can easily be hacked. They can hack. I would not say that Google Authenticator can be hacked, but at some point in time, you cannot say that 100% hack proof. Okay, so if you want to get rid that 1% probability as well, I would say that is 99.999% 99% that the Google Authenticator cannot be hacked because it is great, it's very secure. But if you want to even eliminate that 0.01% possibility, you right, use something which is called Ubico keys. There are keys we have in place, look like a pen drive. We have keys, and they are even further advanced and further using good encryption mechanism as compared to the Google Authenticator, and that they cannot be hacked. because they are physical devices. Fine, they're not connected to the internet. That's it. Okay. But I would say most of the time, most of you people does not need to have a Ubico keys. It will be costing you, I would say, 5,000 rupees, right? Indian currency. And to be very, for my particular case, it's pretty expensive, boss. Nowadays, Google and multiple other organizations like the Apple as well are using something which is called by the name of pass keys, right? Oh, it's also very important thing. You does not need to enter password or anything like that. You need to have a phone and you're good to go. Okay, so that's it. Okay. Now let's talk about something which is called by the name of diamond model of intrusion analysis, right? This one's also kind of a model we have in place. So let's understand what this particular model talks about, right? Diamond model of intrusion and analysis. This is also a very famous one. Okay. So what this particular framework does is that it help analysts understand the various component of cyber attack, right? So this diamond model, as you can see by yourself, it consists of four component. Right? What are those four component? You can see first one is the adversary you have in place. Then you have what after the adversary you have the capabilities. Sorry, yeah, that comes under the capabilities. This TTP, it is the capabilities that are there, right? Then you have this infrastructure, and this is the victim who is going to be hacked, right? So this is the hacker, this is his capabilities, this is the infrastructure he will be using, and this is the target which is going to be hacked. Okay, that's the thing. So let's understand one by one. Okay, so in the adversary part, this particular part, the first component is refers to an individual or a group, right? Who is are the hackers, right? The bad hackers, the malicious people in place. They can be individual, or you can say a lone wolf hacker, right? Individual person, or it could be a state-sponsored hacker in place, right? So that's are the adversaries. Then we have this TTPs. This are the capabilities. Okay, the tools in this we discuss what the tools and techniques used by the hackers to hack into the particular target in place. Fine. And then comes the third component, which is the infrastructure. And in the infrastructure model, what we do is that what are the infrastructures, the server being used, right? All these kind of things, technology they are using in the infrastructure, we talk about that. And the victim is what? Victim is an individual target who's going to be get compromised. Fine. That's what we have in the time and intrusion model. Yep. Okay. Fine. That's great. Now let's talk about very important thing in the incident we have in place, which is called by the name of first responder. Okay. First responder is someone, guys, who's responding first. As you can say that these firefighters, if you just go outside of the cybersecurity world for a moment, these are the first responders. These firefighters, police personals, right? These are your first responder. If you call to the fire station and boss, there is a fire in my hotel or my room, okay, or in my apartment, they are the first responder. These are the individuals or a team within an organizations who are going to train to handle this kind of a stuff in place, right? They have these gears in place. You can see that the in this particular scenario, the kind of suit they are wearing, the suit can withstand hundreds of degree of temperature, and they have their oxygen cylinder. You can see that in the back this particular gentleman is holding this is an oxygen cylinder. So for a I think 10 or 15 minutes he can survive, he can stay in an environment which is completely very dangerous scenario, right? Where a normal human being will not be able to stay, right? Okay, in a place where there's a lot of smoke, low oxygen. Okay, that's the thing. They have the fire this helmets in place. If something falls, they can protect it. Okay, this suit is very far lot, it can handle lot of heat, right? Okay, and some of the cases I've seen that they have this some kind of a cooling system inside it as well to make their body cool in that particular scenario, right? So they are the first responder. Same in the cybersecurity also, we have the first responder, right? So they are the individual or the team. Mostly I have seen the team, right? It would be very stupid if you have one individual, I would say. You have the team within an organization who are first to react when a security incident is detected. Their primary role is to quickly assess the situation, like exactly these gentlemen, right? They exactly access the situation, what the particular situation is, contain the incident, and initiate the incident response process. Fine. Okay. So what are the features they perform? Immediate response, right? It exactly find out what the problem is, because they are have a lot of experience how to handle those kind of a scenario. Fine. They identify the task and quickly they handle it out. If they see a ransomware, they have an idea absolutely how to handle it, how to contain it, how to de-escalate and prevent it from escalating further, what to do in the case of a ransomware, because they are well equipped with the tools, techniques, and they have a lot of experience, right? They contain, like these gentlemen contain the virus. The first responder in the cybersecurity, they contain the virus, right? And then what they do, they preserve the evidence as well. These firefighters, after the fire has gone, what they are going to do is that they are going to analyze what was the reason that there was a fire. They are going to investigate it further with the police department as well, that what was the reason behind it, so that they can learn from the mistake and they can teach the other people as well, the students, the people, right? And they can share the information with other different fire department across the states, right? So that everyone can learn from the mistakes. That's a very beautiful thing. Fine. If someone wants to do the mistakes, everyone learns from that. That's absolutely a very, very good thing. That also happens in the world of cybersecurity. People really share their piece of an experience, their threat, multiple services, their experience, okay, over the internet. You just need to find them out, and it will be very, very helpful for you. Okay, so what they do also is that these five gentlemen, they preserve the evidence, what the evidence is, what, who was the reason of, like, what leads to the, what fire, right? Was there anyone, a particular person who was smoking, he was, in a kitchen where there was some kind of, in India we have mostly an LPG cylinder, right? It's very stupidity that you use a lighter or for smoking anything like that in front of an LPG cylinder, because it can catch fire, right? You should be very cautious about it. It's very good thing, pretty easy to, just transport it, pretty good if you handle it with, you know responsibly, right? So if due to your particular bad behavior, irresponsible behavior, there is a fire in your house, so this particular fire department, in the insurance, they are going to write that due to this particular person mistake, his house was on fire. So your insurance is, sure, insurance agency is not going to give you not a single penny for your stupidity. Okay, right? But if, let's say for example, there was a short circuit, it was not your fault, it was an accident, it was an incident, and it was not in your control, you did your best, right? But the fire escalated further, and now your complete apartment was, you know was in fire, right? So then they will be analyzing that, okay, the fire started with a fire short circuit, the MCB tripped, right? But still it does not resolve the problem, the fire keep on spreading. So they analyze it, they preserve the evidence, and then they're going to write it down in their summary that this was caused by the short circuit, the owner did it best, right? He used good equipment, but that, the till the time we arrived, the things have gone too far, and this, and then you take that thing, go to your insurance company, and they analyze it, and then they pay for your damages that have taken place. So that's why preservation of the evidence in this particular scenario, the fire department, as well as in the case of an organization, is also important. Why in the case of an organization? Let's say for example, in the organization, if someone did a stupid thing, like clicking on a link, downloading a game, why I'm emphasizing so much, because I've seen people doing this kind of a stuff. I have seen by myself a student, right, in the college, saying that, how, sir, this virus spread from the people I know, that they, go to the games, the torrent website, and they download the games. He himself was telling me that. Next day, his system was compromised. Why? Because he was doing exactly the same thing. People do say something, do something differently. So you have to train them for that. Okay, that you have to change their behavior patterns. Fine, that's you all to have to work upon in the organizations. People are, I would say, most of the time, people nowadays are aware about that. You does not need to go to the malicious website, to be very frank, but they still practice that. They still practice of going to the malicious website for downloading games and movies. Okay, because their behavior has not changed. Even if they have don't know the knowledge, they have the knowledge, but their behavior is not changed, right? So you have to change their behavior pattern as well. Fine, that's also very important. Yeah, okay, so that's all comes under the evidence preservance, right? So what's the reason behind of this attack? How this ransomware entered the organization? Was there any malicious person inside the organization was leaking information to the outside world? Was that a case in place? So the incident team, the first responders, which comes under the incident team, is going to analyze it, preserve the evidence, and then going to present in front of the CISO that this is the reason why there was a cyber attack. Okay, and then the CISO is going to either fire that particular person or give him a warning or whatever you want to do. Okay, and then comes the communication. Okay, so what can happen is that communication also important in this particular case as well, right? So like the fire persons are communicating with each other, same way in the cyber department also, uh, they want to communicate with each other effectively. Effective communication is the key in even in cyber security, right? You lack that skill, trust me, organization is going to face that problem, a lot of problems due to that. Even if no matter how good you are in your particular skills, communication is a very important skill, right? Okay, perfect. So that's the first responder we have in place. Fine. Now let's talk about different kind of incident response exercises we have in place. Fine. Tabletop exercise. So anyone aware about the tabletop exercise that we have in place? Okay. So in tabletop exercise, what really happens is that people sit around a table and talk through a pretended situation or a hypothetical situation where something bad might happen, like a computer problem or a security issue, right? So the person in charge, okay, mostly we call him facilitator, right? He tells that particular scenario story about what could go wrong, like a server can be compromised by a ransomware, by a malware, like that. Okay, and the others are known as the responders. So you can say that he is the leader in this particular case, facilitator, and these are the responders. These all. So he will be what he will be giving you a scenario, a situation that the server is there, the server gets compromised, what you're going to do with it, right? How you're going to discuss it. So they will discuss what they will do to handle the situation. It's like playing a game. Okay, that this is a situation. Guys, tell me what are the things that you will be doing, right? So that comes out of the tabletop exercise that we have in place. Then we have another kind of an exercise in place, which is called by the name of walkthrough. Okay, yeah. In this particular, what happened is that the leader, the particular person, person who is telling a situation, right? Let's say, for example, this is a server, and the server is holding some kind of very important files and folders. A folder is there, very important, very, very important. Okay, you need to protect this particular thing, right? So in this particular case, these people would not only talk but will show practically using tool, right? How they are going to protect this particular system, how they are going to resolve it out, right? But they will be doing in a safe and a separate place, not in a real company, but exactly in a walkthrough. They by themselves demonstrate that. In tabletop, they just discuss. Let's say, for example, we all are there in the meeting, and let's say, for example, I want to discuss that, guys, if there is a server, if the ransomware attack is there, what you guys are going to do, right? That's called a tabletop exercise. Walkthrough is that I show you that this is a scenario and what you are going to do. So you do a hands-on thing, right? You open your particular account, you open your particular tools, start scanning process. There is a walkthrough where I give you a situation, a problem, and then you do a hands-on thing on a separate and a safe place, not on a real company, but on a separate place. So those are definitely for sure it's a more hands-on way to practice dealing with the problems, like, okay, unlike just talking in the tabletop exercise. Okay, perfect. Then we have another kind of an exercise, guys, as well, which is called by the name of simulation. Okay, right? Yeah, with correct. It all comes under the digital forensics as well, boss. And to be very frank with you, uh, tomorrow, tomorrow, like today's is all about incident, right? And yesterday was all about the risk. Tomorrow would be all about digital forensic, to be very frank, right? Definitely for sure, because they are different components of cybersecurity, so somehow they overlap each other, right? That's the thing we have in place. Yeah, correct, with. Okay, so but wait, I would say that this simulation and walkthrough and tabletop are part of incident right now. We are currently focusing upon the incident. These are not part of the digital forensic. The simulation, walkthrough, and tabletop are part of incident, right? Okay, fine. Okay, so stimulation, what we have in place is that in stimulation, like it is game we have in place. So we will be having a three teams in place. You can have even four as well. One would be the red team, then there would be blue team, then there would be a white team. Okay, so red team would be like pretending to be a bad guy. Blue team would be acting like a good guy, and uh, protecting the infrastructure of the organization. And white team would be like kind of a referee would be there. Okay, right? So it is kind of a doing what you have a red team hacker, good hackers, work employee of your organization. Then you have a blue hacker, blue person, blue team, which is going to protect the component of the organization. And then there's a white team. Fine. And it's everything is happening inside the organization. There's a server, right? This team would try to hack into it. Blue team will try to protect it inside the organization. That is called simulation. But remember, it's a very expensive process, right? And it's time consuming as well. But the results are pretty good. Fine. If an organization once a year follow this particular practice where the red team and the blue team compete with each other, definitely it upskills both the team, right? And it's make your organization much more secure. Fine. But remember, it's pretty costly and time consuming as well. That's what we have in place. Fine. Yep, with purple team part. Okay, that's called simulation. Okay, now let's talk about something which is called incident containment. Right. So what is incident containment in place? So what we in incident containment, guys, we have in place, we contain the virus in place. You can see that this is the virus, right? And we need to contain it out, right? So we have what we have sandboxing for that, as I already explained you guys about sandboxing is what it's provide an isolated environment, right? And then you install that particular software inside it, and then you read about it, its behavior, how it's encrypting the file, which kind of encryption it is using, asymmetric, symmetric, what how the behavior is, all all those kind of things you have in place, right? So that's called containment. So containment is a very important part of the incident, right? If you want to like in the incident analysis, uh, if you want to handle a particular virus in place, or any kind of any kind of a malware, virus, trojan, worm, spyware, crypto malware, anything, all you need to do is that you need to contain it out. Fine. It's a very important thing, the incident containment part. Okay, then we have something which is called endpoint security. Fine. In endpoint security, guys, what we have in place is that endpoint security, it is about protecting the endpoint, right? Like involving safeguarding these devices from security threat and vulnerabilities. What is an endpoint? Endpoint in the cybersecurity or the information IT sector, we have we say the devices or the nodes that are connected to the internet. okay, like your computer, your smartphone, your tablet, right, server, any kind of hardware that communicates with the network is called an endpoint, right? So endpoint are the essentially the point where data is sent or received, and they can be both physical or virtual. And in the endpoint security, we make sure to protect these devices which are connected to the internet, right? To protecting them from virus, malware, ransomware, unauthorized access, okay, all these kind of things, and any kind of a cyber attack in place. Fine.